today. I want to cover just some instinctive shooting tips. Been getting a lot of questions about it, and we're going to assume your bow's set up for it. I'm just going to give you a few pointers of what I see during the shot. And of course, you know, I'm going to have bad days. Everybody's going to have bad days, but you're going to have that when you shoot with fingers and no sights. So first, you want to just start off by getting up and eating good stuff. You don't want to be smoking, drinking, or doing drugs. That'll dull your senses, excess baggage, and it'll lead to you not shooting worth a shit. It all depends on how you want to do it. Or you can put a sight on your bow and do it the easy way. Some people like that. For some reason, I choose to make it hard on myself and go all natural. So for instance, like today's Sunday, it's gun season. I shot that doe yesterday with the 350 Legend at like 269 yards. So this morning I get up, you know, have 6 eggs, do like 69 push-ups, and we're out here today because it's going to be pretty nice. Fingers ain't numb, can actually do some shooting in the yard comfortably. Yeah, you just got to take care of yourself if you want to go on great white hunts. So I've shot the Oneidas, shot the Mathews. I used to be really good with a recurve and longbow till I got target panic real bad, and then I didn't have any confidence, and that's a big crap shoot. But one day maybe I'll start shooting it again. But I had a Navajo longbow. That was my favorite traditional bow, and I was so confident with it. Out to 50 and 60 yards, I would stack them in a pie plate. And that's what it takes. If you're confident and you don't second guess yourself, you will smoke it every single time. So I'm going to set you up here and do some frontal views, and I'll kind of tell you what I'm seeing, and it'll help you get your left and right down and possibly your up and down. All right, so when I draw back, I'm going to try to go down this side of the camera because the lens is on this side. If I hold that bow vertical, that string is right over the arrow, which you gotta look through that string. So I do that sometimes, but most of the time do a slight cant to where it brings that arrow right under your eye. But when you're anchored, don't be too far out this way. You release that string and everything's tracking this way. So that string will oscillate coming around your face. Try to keep that thing almost right under your eye to where you know when you let that string go, it's going to track straight and you won't have any of that side-to-side oscillation. But I mean, if you don't practice every day, you're gonna have that. It'll take a few shots to get back to where you're like, oh, there's the sweet spot, and you're on again. But that's that's one thing that'll straighten up your left and right. And pressure on the string. And when I don't shoot a lot, I'll end up putting more pressure on the string off of my ring finger, and that's not good. That'll make that arrow just come out of there fishtailing. So you want to draw back and put most of your pressure right here. Say 90% pressure. And then on your top finger, you want to have almost the rest of the pressure, and your ring finger just lightly on there. But when as you shoot throughout the day, you're going to get weaker, and you're going to end up holding with them two, which is fine if you got your bow set up for it, because people shoot 2 and 3 under. But I shoot split, and I know with the compound, if you put most of the pressure here, you're generally going to have really good arrow flight. So that's just another thing. I'll shoot an arrow right beside this camera. So I'll come back and find my anchor. I hook my high cheekbone, and that sun's right in my face. So I'll line up, maybe cant just a tiny bit. and then you can reference your gap until it becomes instinctive. When you're ready, just start pushing and pulling slightly, and you should explode through it. If you guys are like I was a tiny bit high there, but that arrow hit dead straight in the target. Which it don't matter, we're just going over shooting techniques. You always want to push and pull slightly through your shot with fingers, because it needs to come off of, your fingers need to come off that string really crisp. So now as far as your up and down, you need to find an anchor point that you can hit comfortably. When I draw back, generally my index finger will come back, and I got high cheekbones, got a lot of Indian in me. I'll hook my cheekbone, and that automatically sets my thumb knuckle like right under my earlobe. So if I'm in that general area, then usually I'm gonna do pretty good, as long as I can complete my shot process worth of crap, which is, the older I'm getting, the more I think about it, and that's not good. If it was about 10 years ago, I'd go hit a golf ball at like 70, 80 yards, and I wouldn't even think about it. But now there, you got all them thoughts running through your head, and you just don't want to do that. So just naturally, just draw that bow back like you're gonna shoot with a sight, and find your anchor. Like, think about it. Like, find my anchor when you're starting. Like, I'm tied in there. My big pointy nose is on the tip of, laying on the vein. And then I'm at about 10 yards right here. You can reference your gap, and then focus on the center. And it's dead center. Oh, here, I'll just show you these. See, one was high, one's dead center. And I want you to know that split is gonna be harder for some people, especially if you're referencing your gap, because your gap's gonna be way bigger. So if you set your bow up for shooting 3 under, you're probably gonna have a little bit higher knock point, and that's fine. Just shoot a bare shaft and you adjust it till you get it good. But one thing with these, you're gonna want a knocking point under your knock. Because with me, I know some guys it don't affect, and somehow I don't even understand it, but if I don't put a knocking point under here, I get a lot of high arrows, and I know it's not me, because I'm holding where I know the bow will hit, but that arrow will slide on that serving, which I've got all this covered up. But yeah, if it's knocked there, like if you don't have a tight serving, which I like it just barely clip on there so you know it comes off clean. But if you guys are hitting high and getting inconsistencies, put you a knocking point underneath there. That way it leaves the string at the same spot every time without getting forced down, because it does have down pressure as the arrow leaves the string, and that knock will slide down. It'll give it a knock low reading. It's just something you got to experiment with, and you might not ever have that problem. But 3 under, a lot of you guys will be able to pick up doing that way easier. And when I used to do it like 10 years ago with this no cam. I'd draw back and I'd drop my 3rd finger and go 2 under, and like you do that and you're about gun barreling the arrow. Like, you can really get accurate. Which, heck, I kind of like doing that right now. But you'll limit yourself on distance when you go 3 or 2 under, because then your arrow will be jacked way over the target out at 50 plus yards. So that's why I opted to train myself for split, because I can shoot down 50 to 100 yards easier. But still, when I get back to about 70 and 80, like, my fist starts to be in the way. and I'm almost doing that double vision look, looking through my hand. Just one of them things you got to figure out. So yeah, I do the split method, and once you get used to it, like say at close range, just hit your anchor and look dead center and settle, and don't even reference your arrow to see if your brain's picking up on what you're teaching it. And that went dead center. That's how you'll train yourself to be more instinctive. But as you get back at distance, your arrow comes up into play more. And there's nothing wrong with referencing your arrow. Like, who gives a crap whether you're gapping or instinctive shooting? You can split vision, and after so many arrows, you're gonna sync up. And if you develop the confidence, you're gonna be on every freaking time. I'm telling you, it's just natural. Anybody can do this. And a lot of kids these days, in 2024, believe you can't shoot fingers with compounds. But hell, I killed big chubs this year shooting just like it. That video's the Super Moon Giant, if you haven't seen it. I just went out on a quick hunt one evening, and it turned out 9 years ago, almost within 30 minutes in the same spot, I shot a 159 5/8 8-pointer with the same bow. So that was a cool deal in my hunting career, and that's just what I do. That's my favorite thing on the planet to do, is to go hunting and be the best I can be doing it the natural way, barebow, instinctive, because it makes it more fun. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just going to go over this real quick one more time. Assume your bow's set up and you got it where you want it, but you're going to have to play around in your yard to get this thing. If you want to shoot your bow vertical, you can do it, but pay attention to your string along your arrow shaft. If you want to shoot that thing perfectly vertical with the string tracking down the arrow, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you draw that bow back, just know your head's got to go with the bow. You can't just draw it back and anchor and then keep your head like that. Like if you're a canner, you need to get down there with it, like get right into it. And sometimes at long range, that's what I do. I'll keep it perfectly vertical and I'll come up, which I ain't gonna hold where I need to, but like when I shot that thing vertical and it hit perfect, my string was right along the right side of the arrow. These are all little tricks you're gonna have to pay attention to when you shoot like this. And some guys are just naturally really instinctive and they don't look at squat. So if you want to do that, I suggest shooting at night. Like put a candle up or a lighted knock, come out here in the middle of the night, or just when it's dark, and just draw back and find your anchor and start settling where you think your natural point of aim is, and see how you group. That's another good way to get good, which I can do that pretty decent, but I'm not as confident. Like I need to be able to see my sight picture, and I can do it in low light. I could probably do it out to about 50 yards and be confident, but some guys are, it's just how much you want to put into it. Draw back, my fingers kind of contour to the string, holding more with my middle finger. I said 90% earlier, just say like 80-20, 80% on your middle finger and 20%. No, you gotta have, I put a little bit on my ring finger. You'll figure it out. Just don't pay attention to my percentages. I'm just out here flopping off at the lip with my old trusty bow and arrow that never lets me down. And you just want to relax that hand pulling, get you a little hand flop, and then you drag chubs home. So hey, thanks for watching. I'll come up with something here soon. I gotta butcher my doe. Muzzleloader season's coming up. Like I plan on dropping the hammer on that thing because I haven't shot a deer with my musket in 2 years. So something is gonna get it. there's anything else you want to know about barebow shooting or whatever, just let me know.